right? Our strategy is to acquire and hold Bitcoin.
Right.
So what I think about Bitcoin and what the company thinks about Bitcoin is it's digital property. And what we love about it is it doesn't change. And it has a reasonable expectation of lasting hundreds of years. So our time horizon is 100 years. So effectively you call it forever, right? The difference between institutions buying assets and people is when a family buys something, they're thinking maybe they'll sell it at some point. But like when the Catholic Church buys something, go look at the Pantheon in Rome. It's been maintained by the church for 2,000 years. When an insurance company buys something, they're thinking I'll hold it for 100 years or hundreds of years. So same with governments, right? So when big institutions buy things, their time horizon is multiple lifetimes. And you're like, how can that work? Well, it can work because they exist just to exist, right? They exist to hold assets.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. And you're like, well, how can you not sell anything? Well, the answer is A, we're profitable, we generate cash flow. And B, if we ever wanted money to pay an expense, we would either generate yield with the asset or we would leverage we'd borrow against the asset. We'd either mortgage it or we would generate yield with it. But the goal of an institution is to acquire more assets. If you want to build a large asset base, there are two secrets. One, long time horizon. You buy something to hold it for decades. I think Warren Buffett's held Coca-Cola stock for 40 years, 50 years, maybe, right? No capital gain if you don't ever sell it. And so long time horizon is one. And then the second is be thoughtful about tax. If you were to buy $1 billion of property in Florida, you'd pay $20 million a year in tax. Okay. It's expensive to carry real estate in Florida. If you're going to do that, maybe you should find another state that doesn't charge you 2% a year, right? Or if with Bitcoin, the beauty of it is I can choose the jurisdiction where I custody it, right? So it's portable property, and then I can hold it forever. And if you have portable property you can hold forever, that's tax efficient property. At least theoretically, it's a lot more tax efficient than any other idea I have. So MicroStrategy's strategy is long-term, buy, hold, buy some more, keep buying, not going to sell ever.
You would say that's the MicroStrategy, macro strategy.
That is our macro strategy. Yeah, and it's probably worthwhile for me to note, sometimes people on Twitter, they confuse the debt that we have with like margin debt. Yeah. If you borrow money on margin and then the thing trades down, you might get a margin call. But the debt that MicroStrategy took was not margin. It wasn't debt where we pledged the Bitcoin as collateral against the debt.
You can't get liquidated, basically.
Yeah, so Bitcoin could trade down to $1 and stay there for 4 years. We're still not getting liquidated.
Yeah.
Right. At some point, like in December of 2025, I have to, I have $650 million of debt that comes due. And if my stock is below $398 a share, I have to issue a little bit more stock. It's a little bit diluted, but you can see that it's very long-term debt and it's not secured against Bitcoin. It's secured against the cash flows of a software company or unsecured. We bought 125,000 Bitcoin, blended price about 30,000 a coin. It doesn't matter if Bitcoin goes to 25,000. Doesn't matter if it goes to 20,000. Doesn't matter if it goes to 10,000, except for the fact that I get beat up on Twitter.
I know.
Royally roast me.
Welcome.
I will get roasted on Twitter.
Yeah.
But other than taking a Twitter beating, right? But part of what we do as a company is we have to think very hard about our capital structure. You might have noticed, like in the third and the fourth quarter, we sold $1 billion worth of equity, and we bought Bitcoin with it.
Yep.
So we were basically taking in $1 billion of permanent capital and equity in a public company like ours. That's like money that we have forever. There's no there's no cost to carrying it. There's no redemption right to it. There's no liquidation preference. We just took $1 billion of capital, bought Bitcoin, hold it forever. I think the first decade you saw these drawdowns of 80, 85%. And I think in the last 2 years, we've seen drawdowns that are like maxed out at 50% or so. Might have been a 55 or 53% or something. But the volatility is less. I think that the asset class is maturing. I guess there are a lot of reasons why the asset class is volatile. The lack of wash trading rules, the extreme leverage, the cross collateralization, the security tokens, the 24/7, 365, the uncertainty, the accounting treatment, right? I could give you a litany of why it's volatile. I could tell you why it's getting less volatile, and that's as more institutional investors come in, and as their time horizon gets longer, it'll get less volatile, and it will get less volatile as more regulation comes. Do I think we're in a crypto winter? No, I don't think we're in a crypto winter. I think we're fighting through a lot of macro issues, right? Like people are uncertain about the degree and extent of regulatory intervention and what'll happen. They're uncertain about geopolitics, be it either, Russia, China policy on crypto versus, Ukraine and the like. They're uncertain about monetary policy. Like they're like, oh, there's no inflation, so Bitcoin trades down. Oh my, there's massive inflation and the Fed's going to raise interest. Crazy. So Bitcoin trades down, and so I think we're working through that. In the near term, you get beat up a little bit, but there are countervailing forces, and the forces that are taking the volatility away are regulatory clarity. It'll be a good thing, and every single one of these things that gets fixed will decrease. It'll decrease volatility, and it'll increase the value of the entire ecosystem.
How long do you plan to work? Do you have any MicroStrategy succession plans? I don't know if we were going to see, HBO Succession play out live, on your show, or on your company. But, are you playing, like, do you walk away at some point? Or, I don't feel like I'll probably ever retire. Like, I'll just keep on working forever. But is there a point where maybe you want to do something else in crypto or Bitcoin? Have you thought about this? Other people are thinking about. Rich M on Twitter is thinking about it.
I'm having as much fun as I've ever had.
I'd imagine so.
It's a fun job now, and we've got a great team. And I think the key to making your job fun and rewarding is focus. Have some humility. Don't try to do too much. If I was trying to run 16 different lines of business at the same time and launch 14 more, it might get kind of stressful. But what we've got is the enterprise software business that we've been running for 30 years, and I think we know how to run it. And we've got a good team, and we've got a Bitcoin strategy, and it's not the most complicated strategy. I'm not out there trying to cross trade 47 crypto pairs and derivatives and build all sorts of technology. It's a straightforward strategy. So, I'm 57. I think I'm good for a while. When I'm not good for the company and someone can do the job better, I will retire and I will leave the reins to someone more qualified than me.
Do you think Bitcoin has to stay number one in market cap in crypto? Or if, let's say, Ethereum were to pass it, or, God forbid, Cardano or XRP or something like that, do you think that would shake confidence in Bitcoin? Or do you think Bitcoin is firmly cemented in kind of its niche, that it doesn't actually matter if more market cap flows into another project?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin's crossed the event horizon. That is, it is universally acknowledged digital property, and the use case for digital property is certainly $100 trillion type market. And if you want digital property, you want something with a protocol that is so stable that 100 years from now, you don't expect any change. Even 1,000 years from now, you don't expect to change. I surveyed my Twitter followers, and on average, they think Bitcoin will be around for 3,800 years. Bitcoin is digital property. It's not digital art. It's not a digital currency. A currency needs to be a medium of exchange you can transmit without a tax obligation in a compliant fashion. Otherwise, it's not a currency, right? So a stable coin can be a currency, if the regulators tolerate it. That's a currency. All these things have their own different market, and they have their own regulatory dynamics and their own competitive dynamics. And if you segment the market that way, Bitcoin's really competing against like-kind proof of work networks that aspire to be digital property. And you could probably say it's like the forks, and you saw what happened with Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, and
Yeah.
they will be whatever they will be. And I think that if what you want is something that'll last hundreds of years, that's not going to change, then you want a Bitcoin because you value it. The fact that anything else launches and has a large or small market cap or even a large or small liquidity, it's not going to change your desire any more than I own 10,000 acres and you own a cruise ship. And am I going to trade my 10,000 acres for a cruise ship? But there's different things.